Hey guys, Max from Max Talks Cars here. Thanks so much for the support on the last video about 5 things I like about my Audi A1 exterior. Today's video is going to be a bit different. It's going to be, again, the second part in my Living with an Audi A1 series, but we're going to be talking about the 5 things that I like about the interior of the car. So let's get started. Hey guys, so I'm in the cockpit of the Audi A1, and the first thing I really like is to do with these digital dials that you see inside the steering wheel, and more specifically the speedometer. So if we go ahead and zoom in, I'll show you what I mean. So let's just zoom in. So you see here we have the speedometer, and on here it has 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, and they all have kind of white lines above them. Now where you see where there should be 30 mile per hour and 70 mile per hour, there's actually red lines. And the reason why I believe Audi have done this is because here in the UK, you'll know that speeds on normal roads are 30 mile per hour and speeds on dual carriageways and motorways are normally 70. And so what it means is that when you're driving on these roads, you can simply match up your dial gauge at the red bar and it will let you know exactly how fast you're going. Of course, you have that speedometer in the very middle, which lets you know how many mile per hours it is. But the red lines just help you even more to know if I'm in a 30 zone, don't go above that red line. So yeah, first thing I really like about the Audi A1 is that. So the next thing I really like about the Audi A1 is, again, to do with the dashboard. If we zoom in again, you'll see here, no, it's not the driver assist, although that is a really nice feature. It's actually this, the energy consumers. So what you can see is that right now my car's telling me that my mirror heating's on, and it's telling me how much petrol that's burning in terms of gallon per hour by having that on. But if I go ahead and I turn on the air conditioning, what you'll see is that actually increases. So you can actually see in real time how much the energy consumers in your car are spending and burning on your fuel. Now obviously it's barely anything, it's, you know, an 1/8 of a gallon per hour or 1/4 of a gallon per hour, but it still all matters towards the fuel consumption. If I turn on the rear heating, you see here rear window heating, it's increased the consumption a bit more. Let's turn the air up to full. That doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, so as you can see, it just lets you know exactly how much energy you're consuming in terms of petrol by what you have on in the car, which I find really cool. So let's move on to the third feature, which is to do with this big infotainment screen in the middle of the car. And the thing I want to show you here is if we go into the car settings, you'll see we have what's called Audi Drive Select. Now I'm sure all of you Audi enthusiasts will know about how this works. You have different drive select modes. So the standard ones that Audi has are the efficiency, the auto and the dynamic. But one thing that I really like about this Audi A1 is it actually also comes with an individual setting. And if I click on this setting, you can actually set up how you want your car to feel when you're driving it. So you've got your drive system. Do you want it to be dynamic, balanced or efficient when driving? How do you want the suspension to feel? Do you want it to be a bit more sporty and dynamic, or do you want it to be a bit more relaxed and balanced? And that changes things. The thing that I noticed the most is kind of the steering. When it's on balance, it's very, very light. When it's on dynamic, it sharpens up a bit and is a bit more difficult to steer, but in a good way, because it means you can stay planted on the road. But I have that imbalanced on my individual settings. And then you've also got the engine sound, which I like having as pronounced. It gives it that dynamic and sporty exhaust, but you can still have the steering and the car, settings at balance. So really sporty sound, but still very easy to drive. But of course you can just change it to automatic, which is the normal engine sound. Just a feature that I really like about it when driving. So the next thing I really like is actually the steering wheel that this car has in general. I mean, look at it. It looks beautiful. It's amazing to hold. It feels great when you're driving. This is the S-line steering wheel, so you get kind of half Alcantara and half leather, but the stitching is just awesome in your hands. I mean, it's a round steering wheel. I did have the flat bottom one before when I had my Audi TT Black Edition, and I thought that I wouldn't like this one as much because it's round rather than flat at the bottom, but I actually like it just as much, really. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference when you're driving. I also really like how kind of small this middle compartment is, this middle console. It reminds me of the BMW 2 Series, how they used to be before they just changed the steering wheel. But you've also got this S-line embossed in the steering wheel, which just lets you know that you are driving an S-line versus a Technic or Sportback, which just makes you feel a bit more premium when in the car. So the fifth and final thing I like about the Audi A1 is actually these flappy paddles. Now you see you have the plus one on the right hand side and you got the minus one on the left hand side, so you can change up and down gears. Now I always thought to myself that I was never going to get away from a manual car, that I was going to have manual because I love the way it feels, I love the way that you can control a bit more how you drive. But with these flappy paddles I really don't miss it. I can put it into, you know, semi-automatic mode whenever I want, use these flappy paddles, and it gives it a completely new experience. But the speed on this car, I mean, it's a 2-litre, it's 197 brake horsepower, it goes. And when you put it into semi-automatic mode with these flappy paddles, you can actually rev up the range a lot more than what the car would be able to give you in the automatic mode. So yeah, definitely one of the coolest features on this, the flappy paddles. So thanks so much for watching this video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye then.